You know that feeling? You finally pay off your mortgage, you did it, house is yours, free and clear. But then, bam, property taxes. That's right, folks. Even after you own your home, you're still paying the government. Property tax is like that annoying house guest who never leaves. It's a tax on your home, your land, even that rusty swing set you keep meaning to take down. Every year the government says thanks for owning a place, now pay up. They say it pays for schools and roads and stuff, but do we really know where all that money goes? And is it really fair to keep squeezing homeowners year after year? Stick around because tonight we're diving deep into the world of property taxes. It's more complicated than you think, and trust me, it affects all of us. So how did we get stuck with property taxes in the first place? Well, buckle up for a history lesson because this one goes way back, like really way back, to a time of kings and queens and feudalism. Back then, land was everything. You owned land, you had power, and guess what? The king wanted his cut, so property tax was born. Fast forward a few centuries and not much has changed. Sure, we swapped out our crowns for baseball caps, but the government still loves taxing our land. The question is this ancient system still relevant in the 21st century? Spoiler alert, not really. For most of us, our homes are more than just an investment. They're our safe spaces, the places where we raise our families and build our lives. But property taxes don't care about sentimental value. They just see dollar signs. And those dollar signs keep getting bigger. Property taxes are constantly on the rise, putting a huge strain on homeowners, especially those on fixed incomes. Imagine being a senior citizen, living on a pension, and suddenly your property taxes double. That's the reality for many Americans. Property taxes are pushing people out of their homes, forcing them to choose between paying their taxes and putting food on the table. Is that the kind of society we want to live in? Let's put some faces to these statistics, shall we? Meet Sarah, a single mom from Ohio. She works 2 jobs to make ends meet, but her property taxes keep going up, and she's worried about losing her home. Or take John, a retired teacher in California. He's lived in the same house for 40 years, but now his property taxes are so high that he can barely afford his medication. These aren't isolated incidents, folks. This is happening all across America. People are losing their homes, their savings, their dreams because of this unfair and unsustainable system. Section 5, experts say, hold on a second, questioning the logic of property taxes. Even the experts are scratching their heads over this one. Economists, policy analysts, even your Uncle Steve who does taxes part-time, they all agree. Property taxes are a mess. They're unpredictable, they're unfair, and they disproportionately burden certain groups, like low-income families and senior citizens. Some argue that property taxes are actually a disincentive to homeownership, which is supposed to be the American dream, right? So, if the experts are saying it's broken, why haven't we fixed it yet? That's the million-dollar question, or should I say, the multi-billion-dollar question. Here's the thing about property taxes. They don't just impact individuals, they also shape entire communities. When property taxes skyrocket in a neighborhood, it can lead to a domino effect. Longtime residents are priced out, schools lose funding, and businesses suffer. It creates a system where the wealthy get wealthier and everyone else is left scrambling. We're talking about widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots. It's a recipe for inequality and instability, and it's time we address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the tax collector on our doorsteps. We often focus on the financial burden of property taxes, but there are other hidden costs too. Think about the emotional toll it takes on families facing foreclosure, the stress of constantly worrying about rising taxes, and the feeling of helplessness in a system that seems rigged against you. Then there's the impact on local economies. High property taxes can discourage new businesses from setting up shop, stifle innovation, and make it harder for communities to thrive. It's like we're holding ourselves back with this outdated system. It's time to stop throwing good money after bad and start investing in solutions that actually benefit everyone. So what can we do about it? Well, the first step is admitting we have a problem. We need to acknowledge that the current property tax system is broken, and that it's time for a major overhaul. We need to explore alternatives, like land value taxes, split tax rates, or even phasing out property taxes altogether, and replacing them with more equitable forms of revenue generation. It won't be easy, but it's a conversation we need to have. We need to demand better from our elected officials and push for reforms that prioritize fairness, sustainability, and the well-being of all Americans. Look, I'm not saying we should abolish taxes altogether. We need taxes to fund essential services and keep our communities running. But there has to be a better way. A way that doesn't punish homeowners, exacerbate inequality, and hold back our communities. It's time to get creative, folks. Let's ditch the outdated system we inherited from medieval times and build a tax structure that reflects our values and meets the needs of the 21st century. Our homes, our communities, and our future depend on it, and that's our show.